सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतः चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्। श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तत्क्षणात् शुश्रूषुभिस्तत्क्षणात्। Ekadashi Vrata was being performed by the Lord, by Nanda Baba. After the Ekadashi Vrata, Snatum Nandahatu Kalindya Dvadashyam Jalama Vishat. By the time he entered into the waters for the Sampurti of the Vrata, it was that time wherein usually it is the Asura Kala. In that Asura Kala, it is their opportunity to use that, their right to use that perennial rivers. So at that time when they found Nanda Baba entering, they said, "You have entered into our time zone." So they picked him directly into Varuna Loka. The entire Vrindavan was searching for him, but they could not find him. Probably they could have gone round searching the entire shores of Yamuna Nadi. The entire village was upside down searching for Nanda Baba. Then they run to Krishna and Balarama. Bhagavan tad upashrutya pitaram Varuna ahritam. Then the Lord, with his Yoga Maya, scanned the entire universe as to where his father is. And he found in Varuna Loka, as though he had done some aparadha. Praptam viksha rishikesham lokapala saparyaya mahatya pujayitva aha tad darshana mahotsavaha. And he immediately went to this Varuna Loka. In that Varuna Loka, as soon as Varuna Bhagavan saw Bhagavan Krishna entering, he felt such a romancha in his body that he was touched. That is when he realized he felt really happy and sad. More happy than sad. He said, chalo isi bahane Bhagwan ke darshan ho gaye mufat mein. Because he was not planning to see Krishna Bhagavan, but because of the mistake of his Gana who was working for him, Lord himself stepped into this Vrindavan, his loka. So when he entered into his loka, Varuna uvacha, Adya me nibhruto dehaha. O Lord, having taken birth as this Varuna, I have gone to Vaikuntha, Kailasha and other places, but having taken birth as this Varuna, I am so blessed that you yourself have stepped in. My life is fulfilled. My purpose of birth is fulfilled. Though by a mistake, because of my bhritya, because of my servant who is working, though it was by mistake, but I am really glad to have an opportunity to serve you. Thus inviting the Lord, Tvat pada bhajaha bhagavan. They said, would I be blessed enough to get the permission to wash your feet and do puja of you? Now, Lord understanding that there was no plan or scheme, like Indra had done once, Brahmaji had done once, now Varuna again. Varuna was very nishkalmasha, he was very straightforward and soft-hearted. He said it was totally our mistake, and oh Lord, we would definitely apologize, but will we have an opportunity? Because we have done a mistake. Because you might get angry and we may not get that opportunity to serve you. Can we have that opportunity, please? And the Lord smiled. And when the Lord smiles, there is nothing else in the world required. So the Lord himself asked him to perform the puja. So he said, Namastubhyam Bhagavate Brahmane Paramatmane Na yatra shruyate maya loka srishti vikalpana. He says, oh Lord, you are often worshipped as Bhagavan, you are worshipped as Parabrahma, you are worshipped as Paramatma. By the Bhakta, you are always referred to as Bhagavan. By the Jnani, you are referred to as Parabrahma. By the Yoga Sadhakas, you are often referred to as Paramatma. Today, because of the Mudhayena Karya Vidina, Karya Vedina, one of my fool servants, whatever they have done, our entire Varuna Loka apologizes and thanks you for the opportunity for giving us this opportunity to worship you and do the puja. Nanda Baba was immediately released as soon as the Lord came in, and he was taken around the entire Varuna Loka. Like when somebody comes to Saket, we take them around Saket Loka, the entire Saket tour. So similarly, Varuna Loka, both Krishna Bhagavan and his father were taken around the entire trip, and wherever Krishna was, he saw the respect and reverence that they were giving to Krishna. So Nanda Baba comes back. Personal Vimana, Varuna himself comes down flying that chariot and drops Krishna and Nanda Baba. Nanda Baba has not spoken a word either in Varuna Loka or after having come, because he is completely mesmerized. Who exactly is this Krishna? Anywhere, any loka, and the work that he does, he is just dumbfounded. So when people asked him, where had you been? There were a lot of people inquiring. So they were all sitting, there was a goshti, they were all sitting around him. And Nanda Baba said, I had been taken to Varuna Loka. Me going to Varuna Loka was a revelation. I was not saddened that I was taken to Varuna Loka. I had done a mistake and I paid for it. But you know, their reverence for Krishna, as if they know them for ages. For the entire lifetime they have been knowing. The entire Varuna Loka was at his feet. This is really very strange. This is really very odd that a kid like Krishna, yes, he has done many kinds of peculiar deeds which a small kid of his age does not. But in all lokas he gets the same kind of respect. That is what I have been told. So you have to understand the father's pride here. Though as parents we try to make our kids our life's trophy, it should not be the case. It should be that the kids have grown. Gurudev used to say this. When the kid goes into the world, he has to give a reference for himself saying, I am son of so and so. When will the father really feel proud? When the son has become such great that he goes around telling, I am a father of so and so. That is when that is when there is a fulfillment in the father's life. He was really proud and his heart was full looking at Krishna and the reverence that he had in all the lokas. So all these people, they said, let's go and ask Krishna himself. We have been discussing of late too much about Krishna and who he really is. Why not we go directly and ask him? Iti sanchintya Bhagavan, having heard their request as to who he is, Mahakaruniko Harihi Darshayamasa Lokam Swam Gopanam Tamasah Param. All these Gopas who had approached with Nanda Baba, he planned to reveal his true nature. That true nature which people get after a lot of tapasya, a lot of sadhana, because of the love that they showed to Krishna, because of the bhakti that they had in their hearts for the Lord thought, let me reveal my true nature. Gopanam Swam Lokam Darshayamasa. He took entire Vrindavan Gopas directly to Vaikuntha. Swam Lokam Darshayamasa. Guided tour of Vaikuntha. It was not the Parshadas giving it. It was the Lord himself taking them around. Kya bhagya hai unka? By default they must have been so pure at heart that the Lord felt compelled to show it. Probably the Mahatma says very beautifully here that the kids after a certain age want to show everything to their loved ones. Any painting, any music, anything that they have learnt, anything that they are doing, they want to show, they want to display. So like a kid, Krishna was enthusiastically taking them all towards Vaikuntha. And then there he gave them that which great tapasvis attain after a lot of tapasya. Satyam jnanam anantam yat brahma jyotis sanatanam yadhi pashyanti munayah gunapaye samahitaha. He revealed them and established them by his Shakti, all of them into Brahma Tattva. That which is recognized as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Jyotis Swarupam, Sanatanam. When the Lord gives, it's unusual, you don't see it in any other Purana. When the Lord gives, He gives in such plenty. In fact, we say that we believe in Lord, we trust in Lord, we love Lord, lot of things we say. if we really trust God, and you as parents, would you ever put your children in any environment which would be harmful for them? Would you? And what do we pray to the Lord? Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva. In our Balvihar sessions, when everybody sings, the entire first 13 shlokas, then they have a starting trouble. The first word of that every shloka has to be given, and then everybody joins in, and that they're murmuring. The last shloka everybody sings loudly, probably thinking, done for the day. So what does that shloka say? Tvameva mata pita bandhu sakha dravinam. You are my entire world. You are my protector, you are my everything. There is not a thing that I cannot relate to you with. If that is the prayer, come back to the Lord and say, oh Lord, you give me this, I am not happy. Constantly nagging and complaining. What does it show? The Lord, whatever with your intelligence you have thought for me is not sufficient. I am much more intelligent than you, so change my experiences. Even in our asking, we don't know how to ask. The best that we can ask, Lord, you have given me this kind of life, and I want to be a great servant for you, leading my life. Therefore, provide patience, intelligence, and strength. Nothing more. For my growth, you have given me enough around. Though in my own foolishness, I tend to mark them as good and bad. As much as good is good, bad is also good. Because all these experiences mold us to grow higher. The deeper, enricher our heart, we can assimilate all these experiences in, the higher we grow. Lord, we understand that you have given us this opportunity, this sacred opportunity to be what we are. Just give me these three things. I know you have already given, but the overwhelming situations, sometimes I forget what you have given. And that is why in all the Gayatris, we recognize one Gayatri mantra, Bhurbhuva Swaha, but in the temple we chant for all the deities. There is one sentence which is repeated in every Gayatri mantra. Dhiyo yona prachodayat. In my buddhi, that which you have already blessed me with, please keep it illumined. Because of my vasanas, because of my tendencies, because of my habits, they seem to get covered. Let them always be revealed, let them always be shining forth in brilliance. That is the prayer. And when Lord willingly gives, I learnt it, in our house, all the kaju, kishmish, badam, they were on the topmost shelf. By the age that I had grown, I had learned to climb all those and find it and take. Somehow, our Durga Devi would know it. She would be there pratyaksha. How I have still yet to figure that. Probably you as mothers have already figured that. So once by mistake I said, I want. I would have taken with my hands. It would have been limited, only one handful. When she gives, it is all pockets full plus handful. Both hands full. Now when the mother, with regards to the children, gives in such abundance, Why doubt, why question the providence of that Supreme? When he gives even Atma Sakshatkara. Le bhaiya, for all your love, this is called Brahma Tattva. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Yad Brahma Jyotis Sanatanam Yadhi Pashyanti Munayah Gunapaye Samahitaha. For the Lord to give everything that way, what pure-hearted must these Gopas have been? Nishkalmasha. Asuya, Dvesha, Raga, Asmita, Abhiniveda, nothing of that. They were grown up but still innocent. Sometimes when people compliment, you are very smart, वो गाली लगता है. Because the moment in this world, at least when you are recognized as smart, that means your innocence has gone for a toss. That these people were innocent, pure from heart. That the Lord Himself gave, along with Nanda Baba and everybody, a personal guided tour for entire Vaikuntha and Atma Sakshatkar also. This is called Brahma Tattva. He Himself gave it as an experience. To Arjuna and the rest of them, He gave only the message and said, strive. But for these Gopas, it is a special blessing. So after that, they all came back understanding that He is none other than Lord Narayana Himself. Paramananda Nivrutaha. They were already blessed with seeing Krishna every day. Now they were established in their own Ananda Swarupa, Nija Swarupa. You see one Mahatma who is reveling in Supreme, and you feel enchanted. The entire Vrindavana filled with Atmajnanis. What a sacred place that must have been. After this, the much awaited, He had taken care of all the men folk, right? He had given them the best. What were the women folk worshipping? See, they are also a lot of love. And to support their love and strengthen their love, they had done Upasana of Katyayani Devi. And they had spelt out their request, and the Lord Himself had approved of it. But He said, there is a special day I am waiting for, to give you all that experience. And that special day arrived. That month arrived. Sharad Masa. And Gopikas were eagerly waiting for that moment. See, when you are waiting for something eagerly, hours seems like yugas. The poor ladies, they had to wait for almost a year for this experience. The Lord has blessed us, Lord has given us a promise, and we will have the Sharad Purnima Ratri with the Lord. So that particular night, that full moon night of Sharad Masa, Bhagavan Pita Ratrihi. What do you call here? We used to call it night out. Sleepover. Sleepover with all the gopis. The entire night. We in Saket call it lock-in. All grades. So they had, and Lord was waiting. So what did He do? Sharadot Phulla Mallikaha. And the Sharad Masa, all the fragrant flowers were in the best of their blossom. the entire Yamuna Nadi Tira was as though somebody had gone and sprayed with fragrances, filled with fragrances. And then, because the Lord had sankalpa of this day, Chandra Bhagavan said, "Can I beautify this night of yours?" And the Lord supportingly smiled at Chandra Bhagavan. And Chandra immediately added as though a little shade of redness in his glow. That is why even today when we look at the Sharad Purnima's moon, it is big, glowing, and it is reddish in color. It was as though this moon had come closer to Vrindavan that day. It was so bright as though there was a second sun in the night, but it did not have that prajandata of the sun. It was pleasant. It was not just in our classics. Even in Ramayana, even in Bhagavatam that we are seeing, moonlight and the setup goes very romantic. That's why even we say moonlight dinners. So the moon had a special favor for the Lord. He came out with a glory that nobody had seen, a full moon like that. And there was a halo around the moon, a glowing halo around the moon, which added beauty to the entire setup. The entire sky was blue, with the stars crystal clear seen. This is not a 5-star treatment, this is a multi-star treatment. And when the Lord personally checked that the entire environment was beautiful now, so what did he do? He sat under a tree, took out his flute and started playing his flute. The flute and its melody, it had in that melody that people just got drawn to that tune, hearing that music. Now how are these gopis? That we keep only chanting, Tanu Mana Dhana Sab Tera. They had already offered everything to the Lord. To those minds which were already offered unto the Lord 100%, completely, when they heard this music, their mind, their heart just leapt out of their eagerness to meet the Lord. What were they doing? Pariveshayante. They were doing many things, each one doing in their own chores. There was somebody who was milking a cow. Left that vessel with milk right there and started walking towards the Lord. Swami, there was no makeup, shake-up, kuch nahi tha. Aise hi chale gaye. They did not know when the Lord would call, so they would always be ready. Imagine if somebody had to live that kind of an alert life. Living a bhakta's life is not, maili chadar od ke aau kaise tere dwar. Dho ke aao na. This is called actual bhakti. There is no rona dhona here. There is always the joy that let me be ready, let me be prepared, that whenever Lord calls, whenever it may be. There was once with experience with Gurudev. Usually he used to come to Hyderabad and we had to go to the airport to receive. And because of the way I had grown up, I would take shower and go. So we would all take his blessings right at the airport. In those days we would go right into the place wherein he would land off or get down from the airplane. From there we would accompany him. So there was one of us who was in the pilot, like we were in the bikes, in the lead. Sometime later I'll tell you that story. So there was this kid who was a volunteer, and he did namaskar to Gurudev, and Gurudev lovingly put his hand on his head and not like giving ashirvad. But he must have just woken up, probably brushed or not. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. Brushed or not, when Gurudev did this on his head, his fingers got stuck in the hair. So Gurudev looked at him. So he said, "Sorry, Swamiji." Sadhana, spirituality starts there where your alertness begins, was the message that day. From that day I made sure whenever I go to meet these Mahatmas, you may never know, you have to be ready. These gopis were like that, ever ready. It is not that just on festivals they were decked up and looking beautiful. Every single day was a festivity for them. They were ready. So there was this lady who was milking the cow. She left and went. There were those who had already milked the cow and put that milk on fire. Forgot that they had to put that milk out. There are many stages the milk condenses, right? But that day there was no condensation, there was only ash left. So she left the milk on the fire. There was somebody serving food. They were serving dal to somebody in their plate. Left the dal and the serving spoon in their plate and left. Somebody was singing a lullaby to their child. Left that child and left. Because the call was from the Lord. When it is a call from the Lord, anything else can wait. Understand the point very clearly. When it is a call for the Lord, nothing else matters. All our regular sadhana and upasana practice is to be with the Lord. And when the Lord is himself calling, saying that I am waiting for you, it would be sad on our part to make him wait for us. So they left everything. Govinda Govindapahritatmanaha. Their minds, everything were dedicated, but today especially they were being snatched. That is why he is called Hari. Hari is to har lena, is to snatch away. Today he was pulling them towards him. And they couldn't resist it anymore. They left everything as though in a trance of that music, whichever direction that music was coming from. Usually when they were doing the upasana, they would all go together. Today they were so transfixed with the thought of Krishna that they were not calling each other. They were all walking into the streets, directly getting to that place where the music was coming from. And why not? They have been waiting eagerly for almost a year. And that night, when Krishna started playing that flute with such melody, all these women of Vrindavana left to meet this Krishna. And Krishna, who was right in front of them when he appeared, all of them hugged Krishna. Now, while this story is being narrated, Parikshita has a doubt. Shukadev Maharaj, Krishnam viduh param kantam natu brahmataya mune guna pravaho paramaha tasam gunadhiyam katam. Is there a probability that these women were just associating their love and everything, dedication for that physical form of the Lord, and they did not understand the Lord from essence? For first time, Shukadev ji seems to be little harsh on Parikshita. Whenever Parikshita questioned, he very patiently answered. But today, he says, Uktam purastad etatte. Have I not told you this earlier also? There were many points that he repeated, even though he had already explained. So when gopis and their love for the Lord was questioned, even Shukadev ji could not tolerate it. How could he even ask that question? Have I not told you the story of Shishupala and Dantavakta? That they had so much hatred for the Lord, but that hatred was for the Lord, and the hatred was complete. It was 110% hatred. That in their entire life, the only thing that they would choose to think about with vigor and passion is to hate Lord. Whether it is with love or whether it is with hatred, does not matter. The mind is tuned to the Lord. For having done the wrong of criticizing the Lord or talking ill about the Lord, he punished them. But that Jivatma merged into the Lord, beyond all their vasanas. It is the intensity with which we think about the Lord. What emotion you pick to think about the Lord does not matter. If you have to be mad with the Lord, be mad at Him. If you want to really shout at Him, shout at Him. There have been bhaktas who have even given gali to the Lord. The one immediately that comes into my mind is a bhakta called Ramadasa. He gets a vision of the Lord saying that he has to build a temple for the Lord. He was a collector for that particular area. And all the taxes that he had received, he spent on it. He did not send it to the king. The king punished him. And it was terrible punishment. And in that anguish, in that anger, he ends up saying, "Tera baap ka samajh aa gaya that you asked me to build a temple and now put me in the prison?" Directly गाली दे दिया भगवान को. Sita ji said, "I cannot hear this anymore. Go save him." When the home ministry orders, they don't have a say. Then he comes down helping this Ramdas. It does not matter how you speak to the Lord. But whatever it is, speak with intensity and with lot of commitment in speaking to the Lord. So when these gopis, and then here Shukadevji says, Kamam krodham bhayam sneham aikyam sauhridam evacha nityam harau vidhadato yanti tanmayatam hite. Kamam, krodham, bhayam, sneham. It does not matter how you invoke thinking about the Lord. Whatever be the emotion, apply that emotion 100% with commitment. And what to talk of these ladies? These gopis were completely given, they had given entire life of theirs to Krishna. There was no other priority in their life. Why were they doing their personal duties, responsibilities and obligations in their personal lives? Because it gave them opportunity to be with the Lord. That kind of priority for the Lord. So having answered, so he gets back to Vrindavan. Yamuna Pulinavani. There must have been a bridge kind of a thing connecting from this side to that side of Yamuna Nadi. And in and around that area there the sands were, today it is not like that. In those days, the description is that it was beautiful white sand. Tall Kadamba Vriksha with all kinds of beautiful flowery creepers, velvety grass around. See, when we live, we want to maintain our lawn and what do you call it? Landscaping. When the Lord himself is living in Vrindavana, the entire natural forces did the landscaping for the Lord. So this is the best of the best of the best. And there was gentle breeze. Gentle enough to bring the fragrances and freshness, not harsh enough to disturb the Lord or distract the Lord. And the air gushing down and all the hair is standing in. It is not pleasant. It was not too cold, it was just pleasant. And these gopis had arrived. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Swagatam te mahabhagaha priyam kim karavani vaha. Swagatam, welcome. What can I do for you? How may I help you? Kim karavani vaha. Vaha, to you all, how can I help? And then he says, Matarah pitarah putraha bhratarah patayaschavaha vichinvantihi apashyantaha ma kridvam bandhu sadvasam drushtam vanam kusumitam rakesha ranjitam. Rakesha kanjitam. The blessings of the moon, this entire Vrindavana is looking beautiful. But anyway, what are you ladies doing here in the night time? A strange question that he is asking. He had promised about this night. He had started playing the flute, which attracted them coming here. And he says, you are all grihastha stri. And what is the parama dharma? Strinam paramo dharmaha. to serve your family, your brothers, your husband and your children and your in-laws and your parents and everybody. So you should have been serving them right now. Why are you here? And it is not good to go around in this forest in the night times. पता नहीं क्या क्या होंगे वहां पे. And you all alone come all the way. When they find you not at home and you have escaped, people will start calling you names. Dushila durbhago vruddha jado rogya dhanopi va patistribhir hatavyaha. You don't leave your family and everybody and come like that. Loka dharma. They'll start calling you names. You all come from good families. Kulinaha. How come you did such things? Why did you come at night? And he says, if you do such things, not just people calling you names, asvargyam ayasham cha phalgu krishram bhayavaham. It snatches away all the punya of Swarga, puts you for a long time in Naraka when you do not do your dharma. I thought you ladies were sensible. What happened to you all? These ladies were looking at each other. These ladies were looking at each other and who is it Krishna speaking? As Krishna was talking this, they were getting so saddened. They had come with such anticipation, and the Lord, pricked that bubble and it burst. They were saddened, they didn't know what to do. And the kajal that they had put on their eyes, because of the tears overflowing, had gone all the way. Their entire clothes in the front had become wet. They must have tried cleaning it up, but there was no point, it was flowing out. They felt heaviness in their heart. Some of them felt so suffocated that they could not even breathe. What happened to Krishna? Why has he become such nishthura, heartless? And why is he talking like this kind of apriya? We have always known him to be very sweet, concerned. But how come he can speak like this? Can you please close the door? If the child is going to make sound, can you sit in the temple or downstairs? So they were so saddened with Krishna's behavior, they were left clueless. After that initial shock, they mustered up little courage. And then they said, Gopya Uchuhu. All the gopis started saying. Maivam vibarhyati bhavan gaditum nushamsam santyajya sarva vishayan tava padamulam. We have left everything in the world to be at your feet. Yes, today you teach us about the Stri Dharma. Strinam swadharma iti dharma vidatva yoktam. As a great dharmaveta, you have explained it to us. Yati yat patya patya suhridam anuvrittirankam. Yat pati apatya suhrida. Pati, husband. Apatya is the children. And all the family and relatives. How we have to be. Yes, we have been living it. And now today you suddenly tell us that we have not been living a dharmic life. Just because we have come and you have called. This is not fair. Our hearts are burdened with the words that you have said. In our understanding, for the Lord, all the dharma that we have lived is to be with the Lord. And if the Lord himself says that that is wrong, either you are teasing or we have not understood dharma properly. Okay, take them outside, please. Either you are teasing us or we have not understood what dharma means, or we have been wrongly taught. Krishna, we have known you to be a prankster, constantly pulling fast ones on us. But this is the most unbearable one. Please do not do this to us. And there was not a smile on his face. See, if there was a prank and there would be a little smile or a mischief. There was no mischief in his eyes, they were all serious. And poor ladies, all their hearts and hopes, they were shattered, broken. Krishna, please, show us your face that we really know of. Because in our opinion, it is not just for the Chitta Sukha that we have come here. We have dedicated our lives to whom we know as the Lord of this entire universe. And to such Jagadishwara, we have come dedicating our lives. And in our opinions, it is not wrong on our part to dedicate to the Supreme. Our big fortune was that that Supreme was there in our own village with us, who grew us with us. Our understanding is very clear. Please smile again. Just your rejection, in the heat of your rejection, our hearts and our entire body is feeling so much of burning that if you don't accept us, we will turn into ash right here. See, the Hridaya Pida, and suddenly you get dejected. See, in our day-to-day lives, husband, wife, children, parents, and there are a lot of rejections. We take it with a pinch of salt and move forward. Probably that is why we end up having hypertension. Too much of pinch of salt. But when it comes with relation to the Lord, these women of Vrindavana knew very clearly that he was not just Krishna, but in fact one of the gopis says that your avatar in this form as Krishna, even that physical form is a conscious form. It is not the jada form like everybody else who is born in this world. So when our minds are set on your form, it is not a jada thinking, it is a Chaitanya thinking. Don't misunderstand these gopis to be village who didn't know anything. Tannah prasida vrajinan. Please, don't be so dry. Don't test us like this. If you do not accept us, if you reject, being rejected by you today, to go back to Vrindavan to be accepted by anybody else, we don't care. Yes, you accept us and we perform our dharma, we understand. You reject us, nothing is worth in this world. Right here, right in front of you, we will all die. And this was not a threat. Believe me, these words are not a threat to the Lord. They meant every word. If you reject us, you are our prana. When the prana itself leaves the body, what is left of that body is dead carcass. Please come back to your original form. We are the ones who have offered our everything, sarvasva, thinking that you are everything that for us. We have offered ourselves unto your feet. When he saw how dedicated these women were, and why was this test done by the Lord? One reason. भगवान की मर्जी थी. The other reason is the Lord tests how firm our love and dedication for the Lord is. And all these gopis had passed that final test. I shouldn't say final, penultimate test. क्या और एक टेस्ट है? हाँ, there is one more test. I said, I am pleased by your devotion and love for me and understanding with which you have come here. So let us not waste any time further. Nadyah pulinamavishya. So they had brought lot of mala and everything they offered unto the Lord. And he was in the middle, and there were all gopis around. Everybody had something to offer to the Lord. They were constantly, adoring the Lord and His beauty. And then started the Rasa Leela, Rasa Krida. They were dancing. It was as though they felt that Krishna was dancing with each one of them. Everybody felt that Krishna was only playing with me. Bahu prasara parirambhakaralaka koruhu. So he had his arms extended and he was dancing along with them. They all had, their different kinds of melodious tunes that the Lord was playing, and they were dancing around him. Sometimes they were dancing with him. Sometimes when suddenly the love just overflows, one of them would break in from that dance and come and hug the Lord so tightly. But while they were performing all this Rasa Krida, now that they were really relishing the presence of the Lord, there was this sattvic ahankara that took over. Almost all of them. And what was the sattvic ahankara? Atmanam menire strinam mannino abhyadikam bhuvi. We are better than the rest of them in this world. इसी को इंग्लिश में कहते हैं holier than thou attitude. The sattvic guna has its own power. They thought, we are the luckiest. So far is a good statement. We are the luckiest to have Krishna in our lives. That's a good statement. The next statement was, we are the luckiest better than everybody else in the world. Puchak. The first fall. And the second fall was, we are lucky better than everybody else in the world. Krishna is only for us. Possessiveness. When the Lord observed this, this has to be treated. This is not to be left unnoticed. So what did he do? Suddenly he vanished. See, earlier he had a very stern face. Now he was invisible. He could not see, nobody could see him. Suddenly all their dancing and moving, everything stopped. Then where is Krishna? So in the next chapter, the 30th one, Antarhite Bhagavati Sahasaiva Vraja Anganaha. When they saw that the Lord was nowhere to be found, they thought in the beginning that he was playing hide and seek. So all the bushes, all the creepers, all the trees, everywhere, every nook and corner in that place, they searched for him. And they were saying, Krishna, come back now, enough of playing. We were so pleasantly enjoying it. Did you have to do that right now? Please, come back. Nowhere to be seen. And they were in such completeness with the Lord. So what were they thinking? Asavaham tu iti abalaha tadatmikaha. All these women were feeling Krishnavat. Krishnavat. In their constant contemplation of the Lord, they had become one with the Lord, but that final touch of sattvic ahankara had stopped them from merging with the Lord. Realize, the Lord is right in front of them. Okay? It's a beautiful Rasa Krida happening. Get this point, really very subtle one here. It is Sakshat Bhagavan himself in front of them. And how is he is playing with them in spite of being in presence of the Lord. Ahankara took its ugly shape. Yeah, as they had mentioned, they were better than most of us, or all of us. But the Lord does not look at it from that standpoint that if you are better than the rest of them, then you are selected. You have to be the best from virtue of that guna. In front of the Lord himself, when there could be traces of this ahankara, and people come and complain and say, "Oh Swamiji, a Chinmay mission? Why do you allow such people? They are such egoistic. And just because they enter into Chinmay mission, they'll change or what?" Or do you come imagining that everybody else who is in innovation are directly from heaven as angels? I have not picked any feathers here. Imagine with the Lord's presence himself, they had that ahankara, that the Lord was all for themselves and they were better than the best available there. Just by reading Bhagavad, just by reading few Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, do you think that ahankara will go away? Maybe the ahankara will take shape. I am the best Vedantin now. Imagine how subtle the ego works and how efficiently we have to be working at it to completely vaporize it. How alert we should be. So gopis now had searched long time for the Lord and they did not find him. While searching, they are thinking that the Lord will still return, and they were in their own playful mood sometimes. Somebody will become Krishna. And I am Krishna. Hey gopis, this is one of the gopis, imitating the Lord. Walk like him, talk like him, behave like him. Then suddenly one would become the Asura. Somebody would become Putana, somebody would become Aghasura, somebody would become Dhenukasura, and somebody would become Krishna. Say, you wicked Putana! And the entire Leela of the Lord, they would be enacting. And they were very good at enacting. They could repeat with the same voice that the Lord had. Imagine the Upasana. Same voice, same everything they could repeat. Now they took out their chira and they tied it on their head. And then there was somebody who became Balarama, somebody who became Krishna, somebody who became his Sakha. And the rest of them became the calves. So while playing, they would go to the trees, big trees, and say, hey, have you seen Krishna? Please send him, it is, we have been eagerly waiting for him. Is he hiding in you? Somewhere on the top. And right there. Nowhere to be seen. Then they turned towards, first they went all to the big male trees. Then they came to the female trees, or bushes and shrubs. They said, Tulasi Vana. They entered and asked Tulasi Devi, you are the best one. He never removes, so you are always on his neck. You have always blessed humanity. We gopis are seriously searching for him. Have you seen him pass by? Can you tell us? They asked all fruit trees, they asked the pillar, the post, the sand. They asked the deer. There was not a single plant there that they had not talked to in search of Krishna. And then probably while he was dancing, there was one part of his footprint on the sand. So they started thinking, was there somebody amongst us that he liked and he went away with her? And they started checking, who is that she? Maybe we would follow his footprints. But we see his footprints. Where is the other pair of feet? maybe we would come to think of it, and therefore he was carrying her on him. After a while, the footprint was not there. And a certain distance away, probably they had gone around, there were footprints all over. And they saw a set of pair of feet, imprints going towards a tree. Maybe they changed the plan. She picked Krishna and started looking. Kasyaha padani chaitani yataya nandasununa. Whose footprints are they? But those footprints that we saw there, that definitely were Krishna's. Moreover, look at this particular spot. There is a partial footprint of it wherein his feet, the toes, there is a print of his under this flower tree. Maybe he was plucking flowers for that Sakhi of his. The moment I say, who is that Sakhi that he vanished away with? He becomes so completely soaked with the chintan of the Lord, not finding the Lord. The gopis start singing for the Lord. This is one of the most melodious, don't worry, I am not going to sing. One of the most beautiful, enchanting Gita. This is called Gopi Gita. Jayati te dhikam janmana vrajaha shrayata indira shashvatadrahi. Jayati te dhikam janmana vrajaha. By your birth, this is in the 31st chapter. By your birth in this Vraja Bhumi, it has become a much more or much purer place than even Vaikuntha. And this entire Vrindavana is blessed by your Janma. That which would be those feet which are pressed by Lakshmi ji, served by Lakshmi ji. When you provide opportunity, even for Lakshmi ji it would be difficult to do her seva. Such feet were running around this Vrindavana, purifying everybody, every part of this Vrindavana. And such gopis, we who have been living in this Vrindavana, Krishna, don't do this to us. We don't know what mistake we have done. But whatever it is, please forgive us. Come back to us. We sincerely love you. The second shloka is much sweeter. See, when Mahatmas speak on Gopi Geet, I think 19 shlokas, they speak for 19 days, each shloka. They're such soaked with love and beauty. So we may not spend all 19 days. The second shloka says, your beautiful eyes, O Lord, these beautiful eyes, when you look at us, हिंदी में कहना हो तो नजरों से ऐसे निशाना बना के हमको चित कर दिया. क्या अस्त्रों से हत्या करना ही हत्या है, नजरों से करना नहीं? Now with your looks, and as they say, if looks could kill, his looks were something to die for. So with those beautiful eyes, when you would look mischievously around us, we had already fallen for you. We had already surrendered ourselves just for those looks. When you were still in the cradle. And you, for our sake, have done various deeds. You have killed Aghasura, you have protected us from Indra's reign, you have protected us from everything. In fact, you had also entered the Kalindi Nadi to protect us and fight with that terrible Kaliya. All for us. Now such we Vrindavan Gopis, who have dedicated our lives to you, O Lord, do not go away from us. When you used to leave with the calves early in the morning into this vana, every second was a yuga for us. The only consolation was the earlier evenings pranks that we had with you, the time that we had spent with you, you would be thinking about it again and again. That would help us move forward in the day. Or else, going through those moments, it was so difficult for us. See, there is one thing about believing in God. That is called Astikya Buddhi. I also believe in God. There is one God. Next time I meet him, I'll tell, oh, these people believe in you. Lord will be obliged. We believe in God. But these women, it was not just belief. They had completely, without any reservations and restrictions, surrendered everything of theirs to the Lord. Such we who have surrendered to you, O Lord, who have left the entire world to be with you. That hand which you held, Lakshmi ji's hand in wedding, with that hand, please take us closer to you. Definitely, those who come closer to you, you shatter their mada, mana, ahankara. If need be, you can thrash that ego of ours until it evaporates. But please, do not abandon us. And they say, you are not just Gopika Nandana, I mean, you are not just this Nanda Nandana. Nakhalu Nanda Gopika Nandano Bhava. Bhavan, you are not just the son of Nanda Baba. And what are you? Akhila Dehinam Antaratmadrika. You are the very essence of all beings here. Now when such essence, they do not see Krishna something different from their own essence, that spark of life within. When that essence itself is gone, living every moment becomes such terrible. Living becomes impossibility, death doesn't come. Lord, without you, the essence of the entire universe, it is Naraka right here. Hey Veera, when you, this is sweet again, when you go around with the calves into the forest, your tiny little feet, which we thought that our hands and our chest would be hard and we would be dealing with you delicately, when you walk on those harsh stones and shrubs and twigs and thorns sometimes prick into your legs, even thinking about it, we sometimes faint. To such feet that we have dedicated our lives, don't avoid those feet, don't take away those feet away from us. Please come back into our lives. The entire Vrindavana, entire Giriraja, whatever you have been doing, this is where Madhusudana Saraswati writes with this particular shloka as the basis, the 8th one. Madhuraya gira valguvakyaya bhudamanognyaya pushkarekshana. Your eyes are sweet. Your lips are sweet. Your walk, your talk, your everything is sweet. So from here he takes that bhava and then that madhurashtakam. Adharam madhuram. Now when there is, you take sugar doll, you touch anywhere, it will be sweet. Now sweetness incarnate, that Paramatma himself in that form, there is no imperfection anywhere. I was reading a novel in there, he calls his wife as the waxless. And waxless, what does it mean? Usually when the idols or carvings are made, whenever there are little rough spots or cracks in it, they fill in it with the same kind of wax, same colored wax, to make it look beautiful and complete. So that which is already complete by itself does not require any wax to fill it in. If you can compare a mortal being to be such perfect, imagine the perfection himself. This is Tava Khatamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiraditam Kavibhiriditam. Now, your greatness, Kathamrita, great saints have sung, great munis have sung, great kavis have expressed that it is kalmashapaham, taking away all the sins just by thinking and repeating your glories. Shravana Mangalam Shrimad Bhagavatam Bhuvi Grunanti Te Bhurida Janaha. Now such Kathamritam we are constantly engaged, we don't gossip about anything else. We think only about you. To such gopis, to go away from us seems to be heartless. Hey Nishthura, come give darshan. Only in such prema, the language changes. Because with that intensity when you do, there is no sorry, no thanks, there is anything you say is sweet. Even in our day-to-day interactions when there is love, anything that you say would be sweet. Devoid of that love, even if you are saying something sweet, it doesn't appear that way. Prahasitam priya prema vikshanam. To us who are waiting eagerly for your prema vikshanam, with those eyes filled with love towards us, which is what we have been constantly meditating upon, dhyana mangalam. See, I'm just giving word to word meaning. My just heart there's so much more to say. I'm just introducing it. Says Dhyana Mangalam. That beautiful face, that smiling face, that eyes beaming with love. When we think of it, our viraha increases. And thinking of the Lord right now, the tears were flowing down their cheeks. Now, understand, we have always cried for something which has caused pain. In these kinds of tears, it is not because of pain. These tears are actually out of pleasure. Even viraha is a pleasure. Why? These tears remind us of the Lord and we keep thinking about the Lord. Hence, therefore, it is a greater opportunity to be closer to the Lord. Prema, to understand beyond our mortal definition of prema, very difficult. And they say, "Oh Lord, when we have come to you, it is not out of kamadam. It is not out of that which people call as kama. We have come unto you because you are the Lord. Where else can we go?" So we have to put ourselves in those gopis' shoes, that it is the Lord Himself in front of them and they know that it is the Lord. How can they love anything else other than the Lord? Gosh, Swamiji, wish we were gopis. This dharani, which gets your charana kamala, wish we would spread ourselves on this earth so that nothing harsh touches your feet. Such is how we want to dedicate ourselves to you. That flute of yours, they always had a special complaint about that flute. There are even stories wherein they tried stealing that flute from him. The flute of yours which gets the maximum time with your lips. O Lord, bless us with that madhurya of that kiss, with which we would transcend all this dukkha once and for all. Atati yad bhavan ahanikananam truti yugayate tvama pasyatam. Atavi is the forest. When you go in the early mornings to the forest, it does not appear like we are waiting for few hours. It appears as though we have been waiting for ages. And now such you who have disappeared, the contrast here is that eyes are flowing out with tears. But they end up saying that our eyes are gone dry. So what is the sapidity that enlivens their eyes? It's not the tears. It is the darshan of the Lord. And they say, Pati sutanvaya bhratu bandava nati lingyate antya achyutagataha. We don't have any other relation, no other relation matters to us. Putra, pati, bhai, sohodara, bhratru, kula, vamsha. They are all perimeters to come to you. Having come to you, they mean nothing. If I may give one ridiculous example. After eating the banana, what do you do with the peel? Do you still pocket it? No. Then you are the rasa, you are the sara. Having reached you, our dharma is done. What more dharma are you talking about? Dharma, artha, kama, everything merges into moksha. And that which we have in you, what is this ulti ganga? I mean, like going back to that dharma again? That is not dharma anymore. They are like the steps that we have to cross to reach you. Having reached you, we don't need those steps anymore. So, O Lord, you have called us, you have promised this Ekanta Seva. And in this Ekanta Seva, you suddenly disappear, and this is not fair. Please come back with your pleasant form. Let us dedicate our lives at your feet. We seek nothing else. Whatever was our truti, whatever was our fault that you have vanished, please forgive us to come back and give us darshan. So after that soulful prayer of these gopis, which is called world famous as Gopi Gita, what happened? That we will see next time. When is that next time? Probably in July or August. Because next month, 11th, I will be leaving. Next month, 11th, I will be leaving to India. So 2.5 months will not be there. After that, Hari Ichha. We have stopped at the Gopi Gita. We will start from there. Until then, Viraha Katara Ajuhava. In the Viraha for the Lord, keep calling the Lord. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shant Shant Shantihi. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. One by one, you can come and offer your Guru Dakshina in there and take the prasada